surprise. Press 2 if... Heat jabbed her phone's pound button to shortcut directly to the leaving a message part, then waited what felt like an eternity for the beep to finish. Yet when it was through, signaling that she could begin talking, she realized she didn't even know what she wanted to say. Her mind had been racing too quickly to formulate anything coherent. "Hey, it's me," she said, her voice sounding unusually tremulous and uncertain. "Look, it's really important. You have to call me as soon as you get this, okay? Like, immediately." Heat let that linger for a second. It wasn't good enough. She had to impress upon him the danger he was in. "If you don't get me for some reason, go directly to the police station in whatever city you're in. Tell them you need protection because there's been a credible threat against your life. And if you can't get to the police, at least find someone with a gun who can watch your back and... Look, just call me, okay? I love you." She ended the call and sagged against the wall. Then she turned and saw the blinds to her office were open. The entire squad could see her. Very deliberately, she took a deep breath. Then another. She looked down at her blouse, which was crisply ironed and still tucked neatly into the flat waistband of her slacks. She brought her chin up and straightened her spine. Then she opened the door of her office and returned to the bullpen. "Play that video again," she said. "Cap," Rayleigh began. "You sure you want to—" "Play the fucking video, Rails," Heat said. Time froze for a second. Nikki Heat almost never swore, and everyone in the precinct knew it. She fixed her detectives with a steely gaze and addressed them in a raised voice that had rediscovered its resolve. "Let's not allow the sensationalism of this video to distract us," she said. "This is a murder investigation, people. Murder investigations are what we do here." She pointed at the screen. "That video is our first piece of evidence. It is also the killer's first mistake. And I'm sure they've made others. I don't care about untraceable IP addresses. That video is laying down all the breadcrumbs we need. We're going to follow the trail straight to those scumbags, and then we're going to put them away, because that's what we do to bad guys here in the 2-0. "Hell yeah," Feller hooted. "We'll get him, Cap," Reimer said. Roach and Aguinaldo were nodding approvingly. The video had knocked Heat off balance, but not for long. She had her legs back underneath her and her team assembled around her, and it was a group of detectives who were as good as any in the NYPD. Those ISIS lunatics thought they were going to get Nikki Heat's husband. Not if she got them first. They watched the video again, this time with what Heat liked to call beginner's eyes. It was a way of thinking as much as it was a way of looking at evidence. Heat had long ago observed that veteran detectives often became jaded. Thinking they had seen it all before, they trusted in their experience to solve the crime and overlooked some of the small details that a nervous beginner, who made sure to take in everything, did not. Heat put on her best beginner's eyes. She noticed the body language of the victim who hadn't begged for her life. Too proud. She noted that the man with the machete had swung the weapon with his left hand, making him unusual in Arab culture, which considered the left hand unclean and forced children to use their right. She saw the way the men on camera kept looking at someone off camera, probably the person who was in charge. When the video ended, Heat instructed Rayleigh to pause it, freezing the frame just before the screen went dark. The threat against Rook was now a thing she had put in its own box. Compartmentalizing was often the only way a cop could keep doing her job, and Nikki Heat was one of the best at it. "Okay, first we need to identify our victim," Heat said. "We know she's a journalist, but New York City has a lot of those." "Too many," Ochoa said, then immediately buttoned his mouth when Heat glared at him. "Rails, can you give me an estimate of the victim's height?" Heat asked. Rayleigh, who wasn't known as the king of all surveillance media for nothing, said, "Way ahead of you." He pointed toward the ceiling depicted in the video. It was white corkboard with recessed fluorescent lighting fixtures. Standard commercial fluorescent light bulbs are 48 inches long. All I had to do was take that known factor and use it to extrapolate the height of the victim. It got